Hey, what's up guys? Kool-Aid here, and today we're going to be talking about the Sunderer. Now I did break this video into two parts because there's so much to cover. So today we're just going to be talking about certification points, and in part two we will go over all the weapons. Now as far as certification points go, there's not necessarily a direct path you need to follow, with one exception. That exception being the Sunderer Advanced Mobile Station, otherwise known as the S-AMS or just the AMS. This should be the first thing you buy for your Sunderer, and possibly one of the first things you buy when you start playing Planetside 2. As most of you know, the AMS is going to allow you to deploy your Sunderer, which in turn is going to allow friendly troops to spawn on it, and as well it's going to give a terminal on the side of your Sunderer which friendly troops can use to change their loadout or resupply. I don't need to go into why that is so valuable. Next I want to talk about chassis, and it's not necessarily the next thing you should buy. The reason I want to talk about it right away is because you only have to buy one of these and you can use it for pretty much every one of your Sunderer loadouts. Now we only have two options for the Sunderer. We have the Rival Combat Chassis, which is going to improve turning, braking, and reverse speed, and we have the Racer Chassis, which is going to improve acceleration and top overall speed. Now in normal combat situations, these are pretty debatable on which one is actually going to be more helpful. However, as far as the Sunderer goes, one thing you're going to be doing with pretty much every Sunderer loadout is traveling and transporting troops. So that is why I would highly recommend going with the Racer Chassis. You're going to want to be able to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. Now to fully max it out, it's going to cost you 700 certs, and this is going to gain you about 10 kilometers per hour of top overall speed, but that might not be incredibly noticeable. The acceleration, however, will be. So, that is definitely my recommendation as far as chassis go. Now, since the AMS is going to be used in a lot of loadouts, and we already have one of those, I want to take a look at the defensive options. The first one we should check out is the Mine Guard. Now, currently the most effective way to take out Sunderers, especially deployed Sunderers, is by using anti-tank mines. It is only going to take 2 anti-tank mines, so any engineer that has invested in this can run up to your Sunderer and blow it up very, very easily. With Mine Guard, once you have this fully maxed out, it is only going to cost 330 certs. It takes now 7 anti-tank mines to destroy your Sunderer. They have, however, talked about changes to anti-tank mines probably coming in the next update, which will not allow anti-tank mines to be detonated under a vehicle that is not moving. Whether or not they will be able to be activated by a grenade, still not clear. We don't know all the details on it. But even if all these changes are put through, Mine Guard is still going to have uses on a lot of loadouts, so don't think of it's going to be a waste whatsoever. Blockade armor is another great option, and if the changes go through with the mines, this is probably going to be your more standard option that you're going to see on Sunderers. Blockade pretty much protects against all other damage aside from tank mines. For the first tier, you're going to get an additional 3% reduction to the front, side, and top, an additional 10% to the rear. So it's really nice if you're driving away while getting pounded by a tank or something like that. You can get a maximum of 12% to the front, side, and top once you have this fully tiered out, and a maximum of 25% to the rear. The first 3 tiers are pretty cheap at 50, 100, and 200 certs, and the last tier jumps all the way up to 1,000. I like to use this a lot, and I still don't have that last tier just because it is so expensive. Now I like to use this on my, what I like to call my battle bus, where I have dedicated gunners to make sure that nobody is getting in range to tank mine me. Now, once tank mines are changed, this is going to be a little bit different, and this does work against C4, despite what you may or may not have heard. However, placing the C4 on different parts of the vehicle does not seem to make a difference whatsoever, even though it does have more armor in the rear. The next 2 defensive upgrades I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to go into too great a detail because I wouldn't recommend either one of them for the Sunderer. And the first one I want to talk about is Vehicle Stealth. This is going to keep you off the radar when you fire your weapons, as well as increase the time it takes for lock-on launchers to actually lock you. Just don't see this being all that useful on a Sunderer. Definitely not more useful than Mine Guard or Blockade armor. The next one I want to talk about is Nanite Auto Repair, and even though I love this on certain vehicles, I think on the Sunderer you have to worry more about burst damage, and the big thing with the nanite auto repair is not going to kick in until you stop taking damage. And for the most part, if you're using a Sunderer correctly, you should have people there repairing it, or you should be repairing it yourself. So any damage that's going to kill you or kill you through your repairs would probably do so even if you had nanite auto repair. I just don't think it's a very effective means of defense for a Sunderer. The last two abilities that go in the defensive slot are more of supporting abilities rather than defensive. The first one, and the one that you've probably seen by now, is the vehicle ammo dispenser. This is only going to cost you 50 certs for the first tier, and that's going to give you a 20-meter radius. And basically what this does is resupplies ammo to any vehicles within that 20 meters. This includes ESFs if they can land and get close enough to you. Now, 800 more certs will give you 10 more meters of range. You don't necessarily need that. Just make sure when you are resupplying tanks, you don't block them in somewhere. The other ability is the proximity repair, and to my knowledge, I have never seen a single person actually running this. And I went to test it in the VR room, and of course I have max rank on. That's all we can test. And as you can see, max rank is incredibly effective. I am repairing this vehicle incredibly fast, a lot more than I actually thought. Now, it doesn't tell you for rank 1 how much it's actually going to repair. However, each tier after that increases this by 100%. And that's one of the major problems and why I don't think we see too many people run this, is because the early levels are not very effective, and it gets really expensive to cert this out. To cert this out fully, it's going to cost 2,350 certs. Also, the range on this is 30 meters max. You cannot increase that. So I do actually think this is a very good support tool if you already have a vehicle ammo dispenser Sunderer in your tank column. I mean, you could essentially repair 8 to 10 tanks at one time with this proximity repair. It could be an incredible tool. The problem is you really have to commit to spending certification points on it to max it out. So now that we've looked at all the defensive options, let's go back and look at the rest of the utility options. And the only one that I actually have and use other than the AMS is the Gate Shield Diffuser. The Gate Shield Diffuser is going to allow you in your Sunderer and anybody inside your Sunderer to pass through enemy shields for up to 8 seconds. Now, you can increase the time on this up to 14 seconds, and at first I really had no idea why you'd want to do this. It literally takes about 1 second to go through an enemy shield. The reason why you would actually want to increase and put certs into this is because, say you're at an amp station and both the outer and inner shield are up, you can actually hit the gate diffuser, get through the outer shield, and in one fell swoop get right in and pass through the inner shield without having to wait for the 60-second cooldown, which you cannot reduce. I will tell you right now that the gate diffuser is some of the most fun I've had in all of Planetside 2, so I would definitely suggest at least just grabbing the first tier if you're in any decent sized outfit. I've even done solo gate diffusers where I'll just drive my Sunday into the bottom of a biolab or something and try to take out as many vehicles or people as I can before I die. The rest of the abilities in the utility slot I'm not really a big fan of. We have the smoke screen. This is going to clear lock-ons as well as give you some cover if you need to repair or something like that. Fire suppression, if your vehicle is low on health and catches on fire, this will put it out as well as give you a little bit of health back. I've never really been a big fan of this for ground vehicles. And then the last one is proximity radar, and this is a little bit intriguing for me just because I thought about maybe putting it on my battle bus, but the main reason I would use proximity radar is to stop people from maybe running in and anti-tank mining my Sunderer, or from stopping light assaults from running in and C4ing it. However, with my battle bus, I usually have two pretty competent gunners, and they can usually watch for that anyway. So I'd still rather have the AMS equipped in case one of them dies trying to repair. They can just spawn right on me. I just think overall the AMS is much more useful in almost every situation I can think of than the smoke screen, proximity, or the fire suppression. So that's pretty much it for the certifications portion. Remember, I will be doing a part 2 covering the weapons specifically, and beyond that I will probably do multiple loadout videos just on the Sunderer as well, because I literally do have 4 or 5 loadouts that I use regularly just with the Sunderer. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.